One of the words, "We wish you the best in your future endeavors," glared at me from my phone screen. It was the 10th rejection I'd gotten this summer. I threw my phone onto my bed. It bounced off the pillow and landed right back in my hand. "Shit," I muttered, running a hand through my already messy hair. My roommate, Dave, poked his head down from the top bunk, an unlit cigarette dangling from his lips. "No luck again, Will?" I didn't bother answering. I just opened Facebook and channeled my frustration into a single status update. Finding a summer job is harder than getting into college. The phone buzzed almost immediately. It was Victoria Vance. "What's wrong, Will?" "Job search not going well." Just seeing her name made most of my anxiety melt away. Victoria Vance, or Tori, as everyone called her, was the vice president of the student government at our university. She was beautiful, brilliant, and universally worshipped as a campus goddess. And I was just one of the grunts who did odd jobs for her. I immediately started pouring out my troubles in a long message, detailing everything from the morning's interview that felt like a pyramid scheme to the boba shop that rejected me in the afternoon for being too clumsy. After sending the wall of text, I found myself thinking back to my time in student government. During meetings, in a lecture hall filled with hundreds of students, she would always save the seat next to her for me. "Will, over here." At every mixer, she'd find her way to me, a drink in her hand. "Come on, Will. A man has to be able to hold his liquor. Here, I'll help you practice." I was a legendary lightweight. One drink, and I was out. And every time I drank too much, I'd wake up resting against something soft. Once it was her shoulder, the scent of her perfume filling my senses. Another time, I opened my eyes to find myself lying with my head in her lap while she wore a short skirt. My face instantly felt like it was on fire. I shot up, stammering apologies. She just casually brushed a strand of hair from her face, a calm smile playing on her lips. "It's fine. You look kind of cute when you're asleep," she added. "Besides, I'm the one who got you drunk. I have to take responsibility." Her words often echoed in my head, sending my imagination into overdrive. My phone buzzed again. It was a voice note. I tapped it, and her cheerful, musical voice filled the air. "Stop looking. I have an opening for you. Be my house manager. $10,000 a month, room and board included. It's just for the 2 summer months. You in?" My phone almost slipped from my grasp. $10,000 a month? House manager? What kind of fairy tale job was this? The sudden good fortune left me completely stunned. I quickly sent a voice note back, my voice cracking with excitement. "Yes, absolutely, Tori. I'm on my way. 20 grand for 2 months. That would cover next semester's tuition, my living expenses, and I could even get a new laptop." This wasn't just a lucky break. This was hitting the lottery. I did an excited roll on my bed, already picturing that $20,000 waving at me. A moment later, she sent a pin location. The Summit Estates at Crestview Hills. Another message followed. "I'll see you tomorrow, my little house manager." I leaped out of bed and started packing. My time had come. My luck had finally turned. The next day, I stood in front of a massive mansion, dragging a beat-up suitcase behind me. I rang the doorbell. The door swung open, and there she was. Victoria Vance. She was wearing a casual, floor-length silk dress, her dark hair tumbling over her shoulders. She wasn't wearing any makeup, but somehow, she looked even more stunning than she did at school. "You made it," she said with a warm smile, stepping aside to let me in. The villa was absurdly large, the decor a masterpiece of understated luxury. "My parents are overseas most of the time, so it's usually just me here," she explained casually. She led me to my room. It was nicer than any hotel I'd ever stayed in, with huge floor-to-ceiling windows that overlooked a sparkling blue private pool. I was once again reminded that the joys of the wealthy were beyond my wildest imagination. After dropping off my luggage, my career as a house manager officially began. First task, clean the living room. I grabbed a cloth and started vigorously wiping the ornate carvings on the spiral staircase railing. I had to make a good impression. I couldn't let her think I was just taking her money without putting in the work. I'd barely started when Tori walked over. She frowned slightly and shook her head. "You're not doing it right. That won't get it clean." I paused, confused. "Oh, how should I be doing it?" Before I could process it, she pressed up against me from behind. Her warm body was flush against my back, and my entire body went rigid. She took my hand, the one holding the rag, and her warm breath ghosted across my ear, sending a tingling sensation down my spine that made half my body go numb. "Let me show you." Her voice was soft and gentle, carrying a tone that was impossible to resist. She held me from behind like that, guiding my hand as we slowly wiped down every inch of the railing. My mind was anywhere but on cleaning. All I could think about was the soft feeling of her body against mine and the faint, clean scent that drifted from her hair. My face was hot enough to fry an egg. "Tori, I can do it myself." She let out a soft laugh next to my ear, a sound that made my heart flutter. "What did you call me?" I hesitated. Tentatively, I tried in a small voice, "Miss Vance?" She didn't respond. I tried again. "Mom." She hummed in satisfaction, a note of pleasure in her voice. "That's better. As a house manager, you must always remember your position." That one word, "ma'am," made me feel like I hadn't signed an employment contract, but an indenture agreement. When the lesson was finally over, she let me go. I was starting to think this job was a lot more complicated than just easy money. After a few days, I had mostly settled into the routine of a house manager. Aside from Tori finding various excuses for hands-on training, everything was going great. One evening, she had an important gala to attend. She spent ages in her enormous walk-in closet before finally choosing a backless, deep red evening gown. Then, she called me in. "Will, come here." I stepped into the closet, my eyes widening at the endless rows of designer clothes and handbags. She held the dress against herself, then turned to me and issued an order in a matter-of-fact tone. "One of a house manager's duties is to assist his employer in dressing." I froze on the spot. "Dressing her? Miss Vance?" I stammered. "I don't think that's appropriate." This was way beyond the boundaries of a normal employer-employee relationship. Tori raised an eyebrow, her gaze turning a little cooler. "My previous house managers all did this." She paused, taking a step closer, backing me into a corner. "Or you say my request is unreasonable." Her commanding presence was suffocating. Seeing my silence, her tone grew even colder. "If you can't do it, I can call the staffing agency right now and have them send a replacement." A replacement? The thought of that $10,000 monthly salary flashed through my mind. No way. I couldn't let this slip through my fingers. My mind was at war with itself. Logic screamed that this was absurd, but faced with my dream girl's flawlessly exposed back, I couldn't stop my heart from racing. In the end, my desire for the money, and for her, won out over reason. "I'll do it," I heard myself say in a voice as quiet as a mosquito's buzz. A smile returned to Tori's face. She turned around, presenting her smooth, porcelain back to me completely. I felt my throat go dry and swallowed hard. I reached out, my fingertips trembling. I carefully pulled up the zipper on the back of her gown. My fingers inevitably brushed against her warm skin, a touch that made my entire body tense up. She, however, seemed completely unfazed, simply watching my flustered expression in the closet's massive, full-length mirror. In the reflection, I saw the corner of her lips curl into a smirk, for it was late by the time she returned from the gala. Tori seemed to have had a few drinks, her cheeks flushed with a lovely pink hue. The moment she came in, she kicked off her high heels and threw herself onto the sofa in exhaustion. Then, she pulled a brand-new pair of black stockings from her purse and tossed them onto the carpet in front of me. "Come here." Her voice was laced with a languid and undeniable authority. I walked over, a bad feeling creeping into my gut. She slowly lifted her long, pale legs onto the sofa, crossing them at the ankles. Then she ordered me, "Put these on for me." All the blood in my body rushed to my head. Put on her stockings? For her? My face turned crimson. I looked up at her. "Miss Vance, I really think this is outside the scope of a house manager's duties." I even pushed a little, trying to call her bluff. "Did your old house managers really do this for you, too?" I find that hard to believe. My challenge made the lazy smile vanish from her face instantly. She sat up straight, her eyes fixed on me. They were so cold, they sent a shiver down my spine. "Are you questioning me?" A powerful, oppressive aura washed over me. I had never seen this side of Tori. At school, she was always the gentle and kind upperclassman. Even when she showed her more assertive side with me, it was always tinged with a playful, flirtatious ambiguity. "I'm not feeling well." I think I need some fresh air. I didn't dare meet her gaze. I turned and walked straight for the door. Only one thought was in my head: escape. This job was too weird. This wasn't money I was capable of earning. My hand was just about to touch the doorknob. Freedom was inches away, and then I felt a sharp, sudden pain at the back of my neck. Everything went black as I lost consciousness. As I drifted in and out of consciousness, I felt like I was in a long dream. In the dream, Tori's voice echoed around me, as soft as a lover's whisper. "See, little Will, all those self-defense classes I took as a kid are coming in handy. I told you, you couldn't escape." Her voice was gentle and sweet, but it sent a deep, chilling tremor through my bones. I woke with a gasp, panting heavily. The first thing I saw was an unfamiliar, impossibly ornate chandelier on the ceiling. I tried to move, but felt a strange tightness around my wrists and ankles. I looked down, and my eyes widened in shock. My wrists and ankles were bound to the headboard and footboard of the bed with soft, black stockings. The very same ones I had refused to put on her. They were tied just right, not tight enough to hurt, but secure enough that I couldn't break free. This was Tori's bedroom. I started to struggle, but the elasticity of the stockings made my efforts look pathetic and useless. "You're awake?" A calm voice came from beside the bed. I turned my head and saw Tori sitting in a chair. She had changed into a white nightgown and was methodically peeling an apple with a small, silver knife. She looked at me, her expression terrifyingly calm, as if admiring a freshly captured prize. "Tori, what are you doing?" She set down the knife and apple, elegantly wiped her hands, and walked toward me, that familiar, gentle smile back on her face. "Don't be scared. I just needed you to calm down." She sat on the edge of the bed and reached out to stroke my cheek. Her hand was cold. "You see, you're being so naughty just now, trying to run away from me." Her voice was filled with a sense of grievance, as if I had committed some terrible crime. "You stay here, utterly horrified." She leaned down, her nose almost touching mine, her dark eyes reflecting my terrified face. She spoke each word clearly and deliberately. "Will, from the moment I asked you to be my house manager, you were already mine. This whole house is yours to use. Everything except for me. But that front door? You won't take a single step through it without my permission." It finally clicked. All the gentle gestures, the flirtatious interactions, the push and pull. This job was nothing but an elaborate trap she had set to get me. This perfect goddess of a senior, whom everyone admired, was, in reality, a possessive, obsessive control freak. She straightened up and untied the stockings. Before I could even take a breath, I heard a click. She had locked the bedroom door from the outside. Through the door, her voice returned to its cheerful tone. "You just stay in here and think about what you've done. When you figure it out, you can call for me. My little house manager, your contract is only just beginning. The moment you're willing to be with me, truly and honestly, is the moment I'll let you out." I could hear the light, happy sound of her footsteps fading down the hall. I spent the longest day of my life in that room. I tried pounding on the door, even ramming it with a chair, but the heavy, solid wood door wouldn't budge. The mansion's soundproofing was incredible. My shouts for help were swallowed by the walls, creating no ripples in the outside world. I yelled out the window, but it was custom-made and only opened a tiny crack. It looked out over her private backyard, a place no stranger would ever pass by. In the end, hunger defeated all my dignity and pride. My stomach was growling, a burning ache in its pit. I finally gave up. I walked to the door and knocked softly. "I'm hungry." Almost instantly, I heard footsteps outside. The lock turned, and the door opened. Tori stood there holding a tray with a beautifully prepared meal. She wore a gentle smile, as if she wasn't the same person who had knocked me out and tied me up the day before. She placed the food on a table and asked softly, "Have you thought things through?" I began shoveling food into my mouth. It was the best meal I had ever tasted. I looked at her, making one last, desperate attempt. "Tori, this is illegal. This is kidnapping." She laughed, a laugh as innocent as child's. "You could try calling the police." She walked over to me, leaned down, and said in a voice only we could hear, "And who do you think they'll believe? A poor college student being kept by a rich girl who throws a tantrum and makes up lies. Or me, the honors student with a spotless record, praised by every professor. Her words were like a bucket of ice water poured over my head, extinguishing the last spark of hope I had. She was right. What could I possibly do to fight her? She had money, power, and a perfect public image. I had nothing. I couldn't even afford a lawyer. Everyone would just assume I was a greedy gold digger trying to blackmail her. I was utterly defeated. A voice in my head whispered, "Just give up, Wool. This is your life now." Besides, Tori was gorgeous, and she had an amazing body. Technically speaking, I was the one getting the better end of the deal. I just wouldn't be able to casually hit on other girls anymore. I finished my meal in silence. She watched me with a satisfied expression, like I was a wild animal that had finally been tamed. "That's a good boy." She took a napkin and gently wiped my mouth. "From now on, you're my boyfriend and my full-time house manager. Salary is still on, doubled. But you belong to me." I looked at her beautiful, triumphant face and felt a sense of hopeless resignation wash over me. What else could I do? Just grin and bear it. I lower my head. "I understand, Miss Vance. What would happen if I refused to be your boyfriend? This psycho girl might actually decide to pickle me in a jar of formaldehyde as a permanent display piece." Tori was so happy she planted a firm kiss on my cheek. So good. 7 after my resignation, life settled into a strangely peaceful rhythm. Tori no longer locked me in the room. I was free to move about anywhere in the mansion, except for the firmly locked front door. But her eyes were on me almost constantly, no matter what I was doing, cleaning, or just staring blankly by the pool. I could always feel her intense gaze on me. That afternoon, after she woke up from her nap, she once again handed me a new pair of stockings. Black ones again. This time I didn't resist. I knew it was pointless. I silently took the stockings and knelt before her on one knee. She watched me with amusement, seemingly eager to see how I would react. I picked up the stockings, but didn't immediately put them on her. I looked up at her, then carefully I began to slowly slide the delicate fabric up her foot, starting from her toes. My movements were slow, gentle. An intimate tension filled the air. As the nylon slid past her shapely calf, over her rounded knee, and finally stopped at the top of her pale thigh, my fingers accidentally lingered, stroking the sensitive skin there for a moment. I felt Tori's whole body go rigid. Her fingers, gripping the armrest of the sofa, tightened until her knuckles turned white. A sense of vindictive pleasure bloomed in my chest. Then, with a bit of mischief, I leaned down and gently tickled the sole of her foot with my finger. The next second, the unexpected happened. She reacted as if she'd been electrocuted, her leg kicking out violently and striking me square in the face. The force of the blow sent me tumbling backward. Thump! My head hit the corner of the coffee table, and my vision exploded with stars. As a wave of sharp pain washed over me, I was completely stunned, but only for a second. Then Tori panicked. She practically fell off the sofa, scrambling over to help me up. Her face was a mask of pain, regret, and utter terror. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. It was a reflex. I didn't mean to kick you. Does it hurt? Let me see." She frantically cupped my face in her hands. When she saw the red mark forming on my temple where I'd hit the table, her eyes immediately welled up. Large tears rolled down her beautiful cheeks, splashing onto the back of my hand, hot and stinging. Seeing her so frantic, so full of pain and self-blame, the resentment I felt from being kicked suddenly vanished. I clutched my face and started groaning, "Ow, ow, ow," pretending to be in agony. Inside, though, I was smiling. So this powerful, domineering, obsessive girl was afraid of me getting hurt. A fun-filled summer break is always too short. Before I knew it, the new semester was about to begin. I naively thought that by returning to school, to the company of others, I might be able to escape her control, even just a little. But I was once again too naive. The day before classes started, Tori made an announcement. "From now on, you're not staying in the dorms. You're coming home with me every day." I opened my mouth, but no words of protest came out. To be honest, I didn't want to protest. What was better? A narrow, hard dorm bed, or a luxurious, king-size bed in a mansion? Anyone would make the right choice. I shamelessly surrendered. On the first day of school, she drove me to the campus entrance in her eye-catching red sports car. At school, she was still the radiant, universally admired Vice President Vance. But she also stuck to me like glue, constantly by my side, declaring to the world in a gentle but firm way that I belonged to her. I was the academic representative for my major, which meant I regularly had to coordinate with the class president, Leah Evans. Leah was a cheerful, outgoing girl and very pretty. That afternoon, Leah and I were standing in a hallway in the academic building, discussing the details of an event sign-up sheet. We were leaning in close, pointing things out on the form. I said something funny, and Leah burst out laughing, playfully slapping my shoulder. "Oh, stop it," she giggled. Just then, a strange feeling made me look up, and I saw her. Tori was standing at the other end of the long hallway, watching us with a blank expression. Even from 50 feet away, I could feel the icy chill radiating from her, a cold that seemed to drop the temperature of the air around us. Leah noticed her too and shrank back, intimidated by her powerful aura. She quickly mumbled, "I gotta go," to me, gathered her papers, and practically ran off. The hallway was now empty except for me and Tori. She walked toward me slowly, the click-clack-click of her heels echoing crisply on the floor. She stopped right in front of me. She tilted her head slightly, a faint smile on her lips, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Having a nice chat?" Her tone was perfectly level, betraying no emotion. I knew I was in trouble. Oh great, the green-eyed monster is out. I had a sinking feeling that I was going to be in for it when we got home. I quickly held up the sign-up sheet like I was presenting evidence in a trial. It was nothing, just class stuff. School assignment, we had to coordinate. She didn't say anything else. She just reached out and locked her arm with mine, her grip surprisingly strong. "We're going home." Those were the only 2 words she said, her voice cold as ice. I knew that the Summit Estates would be anything but peaceful tonight. Now, in the moment the front door of the mansion closed behind us, the atmosphere dropped to absolute zero. Tori let go of my arm, changed her shoes without a word, and walked straight upstairs. I followed her, almost holding my breath. She went into the bedroom and picked up her favorite antique hand mirror from the vanity, a beautiful silver piece studded with gems, and held it out to me. "It's dirty. Clean it." Her voice was frigid. I quickly reached out to take it. But just as my fingers were about to touch the mirror, her hand seemed to slip on purpose, and she let go. Crash! The exquisite, ornate mirror fell directly onto the polished marble floor, shattering into 1,000 pieces. The glass splintered, and several of the gems broke loose and scattered. "I'm so sorry. Don't move," I yelped, terrified the shards would cut her bare feet. "I'll get cleaned up right now." I scrambled to the storage closet, grabbed a broom and dustpan, and carefully swept up every last sliver of glass. As soon as I finished and stood up, Tori shoved me, sending me tumbling back onto the bed. The soft mattress enveloped me. She loomed over me, planting her hands on either side of my body, looking down at me. Her long hair fell around us like a curtain, tickling my cheeks. She licked her lips, and her beautiful eyes held that familiar look, a look that was both dangerous and irresistible. "My little house manager, you were a bit naughty today." Her voice had returned to its lazy, sultry tone, but with a new, husky edge. "You made me angry at school, and now you've broken my favorite mirror at home." She lowered her head until her nose was almost touching mine. "Tell me, how are you going to compensate me?" My heart was pounding like a drum, my blood heating up from her proximity. I tried to sound casual. "You could just take it out of my salary." She let out a low, sexy chuckle. She leaned in, her warm breath a caress against my ear. "Your salary has already been paid out in future advances. Now, you'll have to repay me in other ways. With your body, little by little." Her warm breath and suggestive words wrapped around me, intoxicating me. I looked at her impossibly beautiful face, so close to mine, and closed my eyes. I gave up all pointless resistance. All that was left was a heart-pounding sweetness and a willing, blissful surrender. 10 after the mirror incident, Tori seemed to have found a new way to satisfy her explosive possessiveness while also making me a willing participant. The next day, she presented me with a brand new proposal. To prevent any more unnecessary contact with other female students from now on, you will report only to me for all student government matters. I will personally oversee your work to ensure nothing is neglected. What could I say? I just nodded. As for my class responsibilities, she proposed a plan that left me speechless. She sat on the sofa, swinging her long, glowing white legs, and said casually, "How about this? I'll pay myself $3,000 a month to be your personal assistant. I'll handle all your class-related duties for you. What do you think?" I just stood there, my mouth hanging open wide enough to fit an egg. Was that even a thing? She would pay herself to do my work for me? My brain went into overdrive. She acts as my assistant, does my job, and then pays herself a salary. Doesn't that mean I do nothing and get paid twice? Once from the $10,000 salary she gives me as a house manager, and a second time from the $3,000 assistance fee she pays herself on my behalf. I was practically bursting with joy inside. Could life get any better than this? But I had to keep my expression neutral, maybe even a little hesitant. I pretended to think it over, furrowing my brow in deep concentration. Finally, I gave a reluctant nod. "Well, if you insist, Miss Vance, then okay." Seeing my reluctant agreement, Tori beamed with a satisfied smile, as if she was the one who had just gotten the deal of a lifetime. From that day on, a very strange sight became common on campus. Me, the unremarkable academic rep, was now constantly followed by the brilliant, all-powerful assistant Vance. She organized my files, sent out announcements with ruthless efficiency, and handled all the tedious little tasks with incredible speed. Most importantly, she acted as the most dedicated bodyguard, silently and gracefully intercepting any girl who tried to approach or talk to me. A freshman wanted to add me on Instagram. Tori would step forward with a smile. "I'm sorry, we'll only connect with work-related contacts. You can tell me what you need, and I'll pass it along." A female classmate wanted to study with me at the library. Tori would affectionately link her arm with mine. "Oh, what a shame. We have a student government meeting this afternoon. You won't be able to get away." Gradually, the entire university came to know that Will Young, the academic rep, was Vice President Tori Vance's man, and no one should even think about trying anything. And me? I just follow my girl around every day, watching her masterfully handle everything, while gleefully calculating how much money I'd be banking this month. So this was what life with a possessive girlfriend was like. Clingy and incredibly profitable. Tori was the best. I never had to worry about her breaking up with me. I only had to worry about what would happen to me if I ever tried to break up with her. Then again, why would I ever leave someone this perfect? Only an idiot would do that. 11 time flew by. Under Tori's meticulous care and secretarial services, my college years passed in a flash. We finally reached graduation. After years of being her house manager, I could now run the mansion with my eyes closed. And Tori and I had developed the comfortable rapport of a long-married couple. After the graduation ceremony, we returned to the mansion. I slipped off my suit jacket, went into the kitchen, and started preparing dinner for her. She, as usual, collapsed onto the sofa, flipping through mindless reality shows on TV while she waited. Our relationship had long since evolved beyond employer and employee. After dinner, I drew her a bath, getting the temperature just right and adding a few drops of her favorite rose essential oil. She went in the bathroom. A few minutes later, she called out to me. "Will come in and wash my back." I was standing right outside the door, about to grab her a clean nightgown. Hearing her request, my face flushed red. Even though we had done everything a couple could possibly do, something about washing her back felt so domestic. Too much like a real husband and wife. "I'm still not quite comfortable with that," I replied, my face burning. She didn't seem to want to push it. She just hummed softly from inside the bathroom and said no more. A little while later, she came out wrapped in a towel, her hair still dripping. She hugged me tightly from behind, burying her face in the crook of my neck. "We've been together for years, and you're still shy?" she grumbled playfully into my ear. Then, her tone shifted, becoming more serious. "We've graduated now. What are your plans? Are you going to keep being my house manager? Or are you going to leave me and find another job?" Without a moment's hesitation, I turned around and gently pinched her damp cheek. "Of course I'm going to keep being your house manager," I answered with total conviction. "The work is easy, room and board are covered, the pay is great, and most importantly, I have a beautiful woman to look at all day. Only an idiot would quit this job." My answer seemed to please her. Tori's eyes narrowed, and a familiar, slightly wicked smile spread across her face. "Good. You've become a very proficient house manager. Your performance has been excellent. I think it's time to add some new responsibilities to your role." She stood on her tiptoes and whispered into my ear, her voice a breath of warm air. First, we'll get a license. Then, we'll add a new member to the household. How about we make your life a little busier? That warm breath sent that familiar, tingling feeling through my heart again. 12 her words left me completely bewildered. A license? Add a member. I frowned, trying to decipher her meaning. Tori, say that again, slowly. I don't think I understood. What kind of license? To be a better house manager. Did she want me to get some advanced butler certification? A chauffeur's license? A professional chef's diploma? And add a member? Was she finally feeling guilty about me doing everything myself? Was she going to hire a maid or a gardener to share the workload? I looked at her beautiful face, which was practically screaming, I have a secret plan, and felt my brain short-circuiting. Seeing my confused expression, Tori's smile widened. With a sudden push, she sent me tumbling back onto the soft living room sofa once again. This familiar position, her on top, me on the bottom, made my heart skip a beat. She had taken control, just like she always did. She propped herself up above me, her hair cascading down like a waterfall. Her eyes burned into mine, as if she were admiring her finest creation, or perhaps sizing up a delicious meal she was about to devour. She slowly, suggestively, licked her glistening lips. That simple gesture made the blood in my veins begin to boil. You don't need to understand, she murmured, her voice a seductive, husky whisper. You just need to feel it. And with that, she lowered her head and silenced any further questions with a deep, searing, and lingering kiss. In that kiss, I suddenly understood everything. Get a license. A marriage license. Add a member. Adding one or maybe a few little people who looked like her and like me. Little people who would call her mom and call me dad. The afternoon sun streamed through the massive windows, casting warm, golden patterns across our bodies. I closed my eyes, abandoning all thought. I reached up, no longer passively receiving, but actively pulling her closer, holding her waist tightly and deepening the kiss. The end.